Big companies have 90% of the money, and they trust their vendors way more than smaller companies. So you can actually do less work and have more creative control, but it's not easy to prove that you're in the big leagues. There are a lot of things that contribute to that perception. Today, we're going to talk about one of the fastest shortcuts to validate yourself as a big player: credibility stickers. A lot of people think that credibility stickers are bragging or name dropping. That's a really dangerous perception, and I'll explain why. But first, what is a credibility sticker? A credibility sticker is just my term for something that quickly establishes your credibility. Logos of big companies, awards you've won, major podcasts you've been on, feats you've pulled off. You'll see these everywhere. They usually get put on companies' websites, in pitch decks, in proposals, or you can just drop them into conversation with prospects. Here's a few examples of credibility stickers. Logos in client work. You're going to have As Seen In logos, Forbes, Wall Street Journal, TechCrunch. Client logos. Ours are NASA, Steelcase, Sony, Samsung. Platform badges. Featured on the App Store. Top rated on G2. Awards and recognition. Maybe the Inc. 5000 Fastest Growing Companies badge. Or industry-specific awards like a Best Agency from a known trade publication. Top 1% consultant rankings from platforms like Clutch or Upwork. Social proof numbers like 500 million in revenue generated for clients, $10,000 in businesses served, featured in 200 plus media outlets. Associations and certifications. Google Partner, HubSpot Certified, AWS Partner Network badges, or speaking at known conferences, South by Southwest, TED, Davos. University affiliations, former Harvard Business School faculty, media appearances, podcast guest spots, book deals with recognizable publishers like Penguin or HarperCollins, or just being quoted as an expert in a major outlet. Now here's the surprising reason credibility stickers actually work. It's backwards from what you would think. You see, validating someone's credibility is actually really difficult. It's hard to tell whether someone is great at what they do or if they can just talk a big talk. I've been hiring developers for a decade. I've hired maybe 100, and it's still hard for me to tell if they're any good until I've worked with them for a few months. Your prospects are actually scared. Let's think about all the things that could go wrong. Let's say if a marketing director hires the wrong person. All their assets could get stolen, the timeline could drag on forever, the project could be a massive failure, they could get fired. You don't realize it, but people are actually really scared to hire you. If you're doing a really impactful project for them, you could seriously damage their company or their reputation. Now, it takes a ton of work for them to actually validate your company before they work with you. They've got to call your references, look at your case studies, ask about your work, etc. And if they're vetting 3 to 5 companies or more, you multiply all of that work. If you give them a credibility sticker, it just gives them a shortcut to trust, a shortcut to feel like it's okay to hire you. If I worked on NASA's website, which I did, if I won Webby Awards, which I did, or had an Amazon best-selling book, I probably am pretty world-class and reliable. Those are reasonable shortcuts for my prospects to take. So you're actually helping your prospect feel at ease and quickly validate you. You are saving them time. You're also giving them something easily defensible. Let's say my project goes terribly wrong. My client's boss might say, "Did you even check these clowns before you hired them?" My client could easily respond with, "I did. They did work for NASA. They won a bunch of awards. Maybe this was just a fluke." It gives them something quick to say. They can also just take that right into a pitch meeting, flash those credibility stickers, and get easier budget approval. Now, how do you actually get credibility stickers? Here's the fastest ways. We're going to go from most straightforward to most complicated. Social proof numbers. If you've been in business for a while, you probably already have these. You just haven't packaged them as credibility stickers. What numbers can you use that give you instant credibility? Sit down with your team, work on figuring this out. It's stuff like managing $10 million annually in ad spend, the highest rated web company in Michigan according to Google reviews, 2 decades of experience. Recently, we worked with a business and realized that they already process 90% of EMS incidents in the US through their software. They had 9,000 plus customers, and they had a 96.5% customer satisfaction ranking. But those numbers weren't front and center, so we just helped them pull out those metrics and put them right on the homepage of their website, right in their new messaging materials. Certifications. Getting certified is really easy because you can usually just take like a little course or have one of your team members take it. It's pay to play, but it's often not very expensive, a few $100s or less. Our team, for instance, is Google Ads certified. We can drop that line in a meeting or put it on a presentation deck, and it just sounds really impressive. Go to Claude or ChatGPT, tell it your industry, ask it what certifications are available that you can just get. Then yourself or your team members can just go through that certification application process. Associations. Most associations, you can pretty easily become members. It's again pay to play, which most of these credibility stickers are, and the expense depends, but it's often just a few hundred a year or less. A few options are the Better Business Bureau, you can say you're BBB accredited, local regional business associations, the Chamber of Commerce is a really obvious one. Those are easy to join, they're recognizable to local clients, they often come with a lot of networking perks as well. One of the best things is just industry-specific trade associations. These are most credible because they're directly relevant to what you do. If you're in like construction, healthcare, tech, finance, there's almost certainly a national trade association for it. Again, just ask Claude or ChatGPT what associations would give you credibility in your industry and go figure out how to join them. News outlets. This is straightforward, but it takes some work. The good news is that news outlets are actively looking for stories. It helps if you do something interesting like host an event, make a large donation to a charity, hit a major milestone, take a strong public stance on something relevant in your industry. Journalists don't really want to cover businesses, they're covering stories. So your pitch needs to answer a question immediately, like why should the readers care about this right now? Is it going to be made into a headline? Once you have a story that's worth telling, the actual outreach is pretty simple. Write a press release, send it directly to reporters at the outlets you want to be featured in. Reaching out to individual reporters is often your best shot, as the media outlets might not be monitoring general tip lines regularly. A great free tool to know about is HARO, Help a Reporter Out, where reporters from top publications post queries looking for qualified sources to include in their stories. All you do is respond, and if you're a fit, you get quoted. Start with local coverage first. You can use that as a springboard to national outlets. One feature tends to lead to more, and even if you have even one outlet's logo to put on your website, it starts doing real work for you. Podcast appearances. This is a weird one because it's one of the easiest yet hardest credibility stickers to get. It is very hard to get on a big podcast like Diary of a CEO, etc. However, smaller podcasts are actively looking for guests. Podcasts are basically a pyramid. You start out working your way through small podcasts and then just work your way up. The bigger the podcast, the more they're looking for guests that drive great performance and are credibility stickers themselves. If you think about it, if I say, oh, I just had Richard Branson on my podcast, obviously that's great credibility, but you're presumably right now working the other way around. You actually want to be validated using the podcast as your credibility sticker. So you have to work your way up. Start by getting on small podcasts that need guests, and don't just go on the podcast and call it good. Once you've been on the show, make sure that episode is one of their highest performing episodes. So if you need to run some ad spend to that podcast, do it. Share it with your distribution list, etc. The goal is to have your episode do better than every other episode. Then you can move on to the next layer of podcasts. You can basically take that and say, hey, I performed the best out of everybody on X podcast. I bet I can do that on yours too. This will take some time, months or years, but you can work your way up to podcasts that are really authoritative. Big logos. Of course, one of the best but hardest to get credibility stickers is a big name logo. When somebody sees a huge company's logo splashed in your materials, it gives you that instant big league credibility. Working with big brands can take some time. Often, the sales cycles are really long. The process to become a vendor can be really bureaucratic, but it's absolutely worth doing. We'll talk in another video about how to sell to enterprise clients, but a few keys. It's always easier with a referral, like any sale. Ask around your network to see who works with a client that would be a big name. See if they can get you an introduction. It's okay to break the fourth wall and just tell that company, look, I really want to work with your company because I want it to be a great reference point for other companies, so I don't even really care what we do together. Here are the services our company provides. Is there a place we can get slotted in? We will obviously have to provide you this great experience because that's the whole point. We want to use this work as a reference. So talk to as many people within that company as you possibly can. Big companies have so many departments, it's almost like they have little companies within companies, but of course they all consult each other to make decisions. So be persistent and patient and come off as very professional. Awards. A lot of awards like Great Place to Work and other types of awards like that are actually like pay to play, essentially. You do have to nominate yourself or have someone from your team or someone else nominate you. So you can go to their website and look at what the nomination process actually looks like. And then you essentially go through the rounds of getting interviewed, having them go through their process of basically validating you. and then they'll decide whether to give you the award or not. Now, to maintain the award, there is usually an associated cost, so it is, like everything else, a little bit pay to play. Getting credibility stickers is one thing, but they only work if you use them. Where do you put them? Basically, on front-facing marketing materials. You can put them above the fold on your website, put them in your pitch decks and your proposals, or just drop them into what you say as you talk to prospects. I'm regularly surprised by the companies we work with. A lot of them have these credibility stickers already, but they just aren't displaying them. So go get some credibility stickers. They aren't bragging, they're actually a service to your prospects. You're saving them time, giving them a shortcut to trust you, and handing them something they can defend internally when they go to bat for hiring you. You don't need every credibility sticker under the sun, you just need a few good ones. Start with what you already have, dig up your numbers, grab a certification. Credibility stickers aren't bragging, they're like this service to your prospects. You're actually saving them time, you're giving them a shortcut to trust you, you're handing them something they can defend internally when they go to bat for hiring you. Once you see credibility stickers, you aren't going to be able to unsee them, they're everywhere. If this video has helped you get a new level of awareness about how to actually create credibility stickers, what they look like, how to use them, go ahead and like the video and make sure you're subscribed to the channel.